And she had Reggie at the hospital downtown. She couldn't go and get him because she was sick. So she put me in a cab and said, give me the necessary. And I brought this boy home from the hospital. And I would go on the weekend and clean up and stuff for her and earn a little money for me because I was still my grandma's. And I had loved this boy from the day I picked him up and brought him. And then I would go to the weekend to her mother, and she would be going in the street, leave Reggie with different people and all that kind of stuff. So one weekend she brought Reggie to me and asked my grandma could I babysit for her. And I babysit for her. And then she came and got him that Sunday. But for a couple of weeks she did that. Then she left Reggie one time and didn't come back. And Reggie was like 9 months old or something like that.
17 years old, 1965. Was in 11th grade at Barnesville High School. Quit school to raise me. Worked 3 jobs every day to feed me. Was getting ready to work a 4th job, but she couldn't because she had to babysit me after the 3 jobs. And her family told her either give me up and work the 4th job, or she had to find someplace to live. So what does a 17-year-old girl do in 1965? She could easily took me to the orphanage or someplace. She walked out the house with me, and we've been together, all those years. But that 17-year-old girl who gave up everything for me, who worked 2 and 3 jobs for me, who fed me, who comforted me, who has always, I was at her house last night. She was raising Cain with me. She called me her number one, she has 3 boys, but she called me her number 1 son. She dedicated her life to raising Reggie Burgess. As a matter of fact, my name was Reggie Wilson, and I was 7 years old. The telephone rang. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I picked up the telephone because I was responsible, because I was the oldest. And I said, hello? She said, let me speak to Bertha. That was my mother's name. I said, hold on a second. I said, Mama? She said, yeah. She said, I said, telephone. I took the telephone to her. I went back outside. We were living in the projects then. I was outside playing with the toy. My mother came out. It's the first time. My mother was 20 years old, I believe. Well, 21, because I was 4 years old. And she came outside, and I remember my mother crying. That was the first time in my life that I'd ever seen the number one thing in my life, shed tears. And I got a little frustrated. I said, Mom, who did this to you? And she said, I have to tell you something, son. And she placed me in her lap, and she said, that lady on that telephone is your mother. My mother? You're my mother. She said, no. She said, I just took you. I said, take me? She said, she didn't want to raise you. I went to the hospital in 1965 to sign you out of the hospital at 17 years old. She was a junior in high school. And she said, you've been with me your entire life. And I said, Mama, how can I be your son? I'll never forget this conversation. She said, we have to go to a judge. And we went to the judge. And I remembered, all I remembered is I look as a little kid, I saw a guy with a black robe on. And he said, he pointed at me. He said, son, who's that lady? I said, that's my mother. He said, bam, so it is, so it shall be. And I became her son that day. A 17-year-old lady quit school, got kicked out of her house to raise somebody else's child. Yeah, that's my inspiration.